Hiya. You're very good help.
Good help. Lovely to see you. We're having this moment. It's been a bit odd today. The weather's been a bit up and down, but every now and again we get this like little microclimate. It's lovely. But
Pooped.
we
I'm
are
pooped.
we are pooped.
The first wedding we did.
Hold on.
Let's go back to the first wedding we did. We were knackered all the time.
Wait a second. We are knackered because we have our first wedding next weekend. And
That's why I was going back to our wedding, because our wedding,
I know, but we
were
needed
pooped getting ready for that.
to set the scene as to why we are quite exhausted right now, because never would we have been able to write the script that as soon as the wedding business was flourishing, then obviously that there would be no weddings. And then it's been 3 years and the house has always kept tidy, and we've been doing our messy jobs and the roof and the render, etc. But then all of a sudden, seeing things through different eyes, through eyes of our guests again, and all of a sudden the weeds and Arthur's box full and all of these, even a bit of rust on the gate. Like, it's all gotta go, it's gotta be clean, it's from top to bottom, there's a spider web there, and the house, because of that, it's been upside down. It still is a bit upside down. I don't like it upside down.
Our wedding was the first wedding. How many years ago? And it feels like we're starting with our first wedding again. That's the point I was going to make, because to get ready for our wedding, we're all discovering new things all the way through. But for this one, it's almost like we've started over again. I can't wait, actually. Yeah, and
it's very exciting. I mean,
1 week.
The feeling.
5 days.
No, the feeling is completely exactly the same. The enormity of our wedding, where we had to try and have so much finished and done. We've never had a year like that. But the difference is that we've done
most years.
No, but we've not for events, but we've done so much more since then.
Yeah.
Haven't we?
I think it's an interesting situation, because you make the comment about, you look at the house and you see this and you see that, it has to still be done. The house is in pretty good nick, but Angela looks at things differently from the rest of the world. You do, and you see things. And what we've done is, I think we've actually been a lot more objective in what we're looking at, and you're sort of been looking at things. The workload has been phenomenal. The tour, we came back thinking we've been away, we've done our bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We came back and somehow we sort of stepped up a gear from travelling 28 events over 6 weeks, and we thought we better step it up. Having said that, it's been lovely, because we're finally organising so many things.
I mean, when you pull out a drawer and you organise it, and there's that satisfaction. We are doing that times 1,000. I mean, every little thing in our world has somehow got cluttered or mixed up. It's not cluttered, mixed up.
I think it's interesting. Where weddings are the big subject around here at the minute, because we can't wait for Natasha and Victoria's wedding, because it's something that's going to be it's just going to be great to do it again. And do you know what? You can hug people over here now, and I've seen people shaking hands and the odd person kissing, because when we first arrived, everybody in France at the school and everywhere else kissed each other and said hello.
Yeah.
And that's what people did. Then it stopped. They put behind masks. We couldn't even communicate properly. But it's changed. And what makes this wedding special, of course, is the fact that we've waited and we've just sort of kept our powder dry and said no weddings until we can do it properly.
Or no weddings until we can hug, I think.
But just do it properly, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can't hug somebody, it's not a wedding. You know what I mean? It's that sort of.
Yeah, that was our, and I think everyone that sort of stayed in our diary and has gone forward, because everyone this year and next year are all the people that were already in our diary before 2019. And to wait those years, and life has moved on for many of them. Some of them have children and dogs, and some of them have lost important people in their lives. To sort of still be here doing their wedding, we sort of feel, we feel honoured, and it's also a responsibility because and that's why we care so much. We want to make their day absolutely gorgeous, and we did it back in 2019, but now the wait has built everything up. I also do think that this year of weddings will be like no other, because to get everyone together again and celebrating, there is, there's
we've been waiting a long time
Yeah,
for this. Haven't
people
we?
haven't really done that yet. There hasn't been lots of big family celebrations, so probably this will be the first time that everyone is getting together. That it could be in a couple of years. That's quite unique.
The chateau has been closed to guests for basically a long time, and it's now opening up and people are coming. And right, we've had people around, we've had all our team around, we've had crews around, we've had some visitors, but not very many at all. But it's not been open in the same way.
No.
Now, if you go back, and I think the amount of work that's going into this wedding, going back to our wedding and the build up to our wedding, it was completely uncharted territory. You know, finding the people. Do you remember just finding waiters and waitresses, because you brought your ladies across from Vintage Patisserie, but then finding people to stand in when the girls started the party, that was hard. Yeah, and then we got the French team in to work for, but all of just sourcing food and doing everything, those were very different sort of days, because you've polished it so much since then, all of the supply chain for a wedding, and then it disappeared.
And then
Place is
it
shut.
disappeared, and it was sort of re-establishing all of the connections. You know, the coach company, our butchers, making sure the patisserie can still do all the same thing. And you know, there is differences now where we used to get our hogs from. The abattoir, sadly, because it just didn't have there wasn't the need for whole hogs, as closed down. So we haven't, you know, it's
But that happens a lot in England, because England, it's gone into sort of bigger abattoirs and less places, and things have to travel. In France, we had lots of smaller, which means that there was less movement. And you know, I know lots of the vegetarians and vegans we don't talk about this, but the stress in the animals, you don't have to travel so far in lots of places in France because there's little businesses around, and changes in that just means the hog roast, which is the tradition. You know, a wild boar over a spit is a French tradition, and so that side of life is quite interesting. Just sort of.
But we're finding them. I ordered the flowers today, but since then we've obviously got our eucalyptus trees established. But you did savage them, and.
I did, and if I hadn't savaged them, you couldn't reach the top ones anyway.
No,
I have to get the cherry picker into the wall garden.
A lot of them have gone into flower, but it feels like our wedding because they're a enormity of so much. And actually, the year after that, when we had Richard and Charlotte's wedding, because that was the only wedding that we had that year, it was different because we'd decided that we'd do the cloakroom. And then obviously
we needed a loo, apparently people didn't like to go and piddle in the shed.
And there was things like chairs needed to be done, and there were still important things, but they were smaller items. And then the year after.
But it's interesting because you have to go back a step on that one, because Charlotte and Richard's wedding was on our books before anybody heard of Escape to the Chateau.
Yeah.
And because that had come from what happened in the past, and actually the way we were preparing for that and getting that done, that was our business launching with our food lovers, all before anybody even heard of Chateau de la Motte Husson. And I think that's really quite interesting, because we were ramping up and saying we're going to have to make this and get it squared away.
Yeah.
And that was a very special time, getting that first wedding down here, because we started to pull together the team seriously.
Yeah. Well, that's when we met Sasha. You know, that was you know, she drove up, and I was like, instantly loved her. Knew she was going to be amazing.
She hasn't been allowed to leave.
No, I don't think she wants to.
but hold on, if you think about it from that point,
I know Sasha's missed the weddings actually. So,
well, as have you.
Yeah.
The bride time, and there's so many people have a little tear in their eye and a little gurn.
Yeah. Dorothy
hasn't had a wedding frock for a year.
I know. Well, actually, this is honestly the God's honest truth. I bought, so she had that, do you remember the beautiful little rainbow dress with the
sort of
parrots
chiffony thing,
on the chiffony with the parrots on the sleeves.
See what I know.
She loved it so much. And then I found one, and she was only 7 years old, and it was from 9 till 10. And I bought it, and I thought, well, that will be her wedding dress for the next couple of years. Sorted, thinking, oh, I'm so organised on this. And she's kind of just gone into pandas and rock, and so it's not a size thing, it's a style thing.
She has been to rock. She likes AC/DC t-shirts as opposed to having a rainbow frock on. Yep.
So
but actually, when there's a lot of dresses and people all dressed up in frocks and things. I think she might come back to it. She may come back to it.
I haven't had that
I hope so.
conversation yet.
No.
I miss them in their rainbow frocks. I mean, you've got some really great rainbow tutus. I'm putting them all away in the attic for our children, of course. But I have. It's just, you know, the kids, they go through those phases and they go into them and then they are out. You know, right now we're not really into Disney princesses either. So, but they will get to an age.
What's the thing she's watching with? It's all sort of gothy, but it's sort of
Descendants.
Descendants.
Although I
sat down.
Defendants.
Defendants. Yeah, bunch of little juvenile delinquents. These are horrible
No,
people.
they're not. They're the children of all of the
Bad guys. They're
all
delinquents.
the-
Okay.
Yeah, but
I've tried to sit down and watch it. I have tried, but because we're quite busy at the minute, every time we sit down to watch it,
you
Dora,
fall asleep.
a little bit of dribble. That's why I got a beard. The dribble doesn't show.
Yeah, but well, we're gonna see. I'm gonna have this conversation with her next week and see what her wedding outfit is going to be. So we've got time. We've got, you know, just under a week before that. I haven't actually thought exactly what I'm wearing either. So
Do you know what I'm going to do? Like most chaps, I'm going to open a cupboard and have a little look and see what's in there and put something on. That's as simple as it gets. But the preparations, we're talking about, we're a bit pooped at the minute getting things. It's everywhere. The Chateau, obviously at the end of last year, we didn't have all of the Chateau roofed and rendered. We'd done enough so that if we'd had a wedding, it's, you know, it's like all fur coat and no knickers. The front looks good, but you're not quite sure what's behind it. Okay, and but now, as of the week just finished, just before the weekend actually, the lads have finished around the side. We've actually got to the point now where there's a little panel at the back, which we said that we let them do after the wedding because nobody can see it. But the Chateau is done.
oh, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as Dick said, from the front, it has looked good for a while, but over by the walled garden or over by the boat, when you look at the sides now, they look completely stunning. And it was Richard and Charlotte's wedding actually that inspired the colour of the Chateau, because we knew roughly within a small spectrum what it would be, but there was this particular photograph
It's overexposed.
that Mammy Me took over by where the boat is, and there was Richard and Charlotte. You know, it was all brambly and just gorgeous, overgrown and wild. And Charlotte's looking gorgeous, Richard looking very dapper, and they were looking madly in love. And the background, I mean, I think it was golden hour as well.
Yeah.
So the Chateau looked glorious and golden, but the picture was overexposed as well, and the roof looked really kind of grey, and the Chateau looked exactly like it does now. And when we were choosing,
No blemishes visible.
no, when we were
soft
choosing
focus.
when we were choosing the render, I kept referring back to this photograph because it was one of my favourite photographs of what the Chateau looked like. You know, it's like if you could be, you know, your best self, you'd have an overexposed I would have an overexposed skin and just be absolutely perfectly white and
If
gorgeous.
there's any chaps watching, I know you don't understand what she's talking about. You can't, please.
Many years ago, I was doing an event and they had this photo booth, and everyone that went into this photo booth, like the little pictures that came out, were absolutely amazing, and everyone's skin was flawless, and your skin was the most vibrant, your teeth were the whitest, and it was all overexposed and absolutely fantastic. And I was there with all my vintage patisserie girls, and we were all like doing these sort of like lovely sort of silly shots. So it's because it was
makes you
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, and now you've got Snapchat that actually does that for you, or other sort of apps and stuff.
Guess who hasn't got any of those apps on his phone?
I know, but how can you change perfection, darling? Actually, you have. I've seen you as a princess and all sorts of.
Yeah, that's Dorothy
things.
dressing me up. That's different. But coming back to weddings and yeah, where the whole. By the way, from over there, we've been good for weddings. We could have done one last year. At the end, at the end, could have done.
Yeah.
Now it's all squared away, that part. But the really important part is the sheer mess. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you had a little bit of a sort of a twitchy meltdown. Yeah. You're
Well,
thirsty.
that was because there were so many slates everywhere. It was so messy. The outside. Now the inside is mine. It's mine.
On the
and
outside.
I'm in control of all of the
That's just the geese are laying at the minute, and they just escaped. That's okay. It's good. They
I'm
nearly
in
finished
control
laying,
of
by the way.
all of the rooms. Oh, are they?
They nearly finished laying, so we have to wait another year for our goose eggs. But
Oh,
right. So talking about the tidiness, the outside tidy bits that Angela sort of looks at and says that needs to move.
there's so much stuff, but you keep saying every time that I'm like, we need to put some energy into this, you're like, it looks fine, and I'm like, it's not looks fine. And so the inside you don't have anything to do with. I just get on with it and do it.
And the outside you use
with Sasha and Tina, and the outside I have to battle you a little bit, but I'm getting there.
Yes, you have to battle me a little bit, because it's a matter of, there are some other little bits going on.
No, there's rustic and there's
some other little things going on as well. We are quite busy around the place doing some sort of structural bits, other jobs and things. And you're right. Do you know what? I think I'd rather be out in the garden or sitting in the sunshine weeding. But the first day I go and sit in the sunshine weeding all day long was the day that I will have sort of known that we're sort of at the chill time.
I've been enjoying weeding. Weeding is so satisfying. I mean, it is. I've loved it.
They have this.
I know. I don't want it. I enjoyed my glass of pulp.
Sure.
Yeah, I did enjoy my glass of pulp. But the level of our wedding, and you even think about Rich and Charlotte's wedding, we were serving. Our bar was a plastic table with a tablecloth over it, lots of drinks lined up, and we had this
a bucket of cold water.
And so we had a bit of an ice meltdown. You can't go into a supermarket where we are. Maybe they have it in the bigger cities. And buy a bag of ice. Now, I have always, that seems so odd. It's like not being able to get a taxi, or
which you can't either.
Which you can't either. But I'd always be able to go to sort of Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and buy a bag of ice for £1. You couldn't do that. I mean, we now have an ice machine, but at the time we couldn't afford it. We were calling up the big supermarkets, equivalents to your Sainsbury's, Tesco's, asking them if we could have ice. And the only ice that you could get was from fishmongers. That was all this kind of sort of tiny bits of ice. So we were spending lots and lots of time just with our absolutely tiny ice maker making.
It was about this big as when we had.
So yeah, and we did some big blocks as well, didn't we? And they were going to be to cool all the beers and everything. And the ice we got from the fishmongers was for all of the drinks, because it was all sort of small shards of ice. Now there was I remember this because it started off by big anxiety of ice. There was this miscommunication where we asked one of our lovely members of staff to take the ice over and put it into a truck. Now these things all happen very easily, and all it takes is for one word to be not communicated correctly. And it was probably, we didn't say make sure it is the big block of ice for the things and not the shards. Not all of the shards of ice were used up, and we didn't have it.
It melted straight away.
Yeah, it melted straight away, and all we was left with for the wedding was this big block of ice. And it caused us this little thing, because you know what, we didn't run out of ice.
I've heard about ice so often.
We didn't run out of ice, but we had people chipping away at ice. Every ice machine was trying to get out of freezers. My dad was running out trying to get ice.
This is this comes to where we are. This really sort of comes to where we have problems here, Get to the end of the road. Gorgeous, isn't it? Petal's very happy as well. We do have visitors come along to see us, and that is lovely at the end of the road. And they pop along there, and we do a bit of waving and things. We see people, and it's been lovely since we had a little parking area at the end there. People sort of stayed at the end of the road, haven't they? They come and check. Mostly, which is all nice people have. But what happens is people sort of come along to see if we really do exist here. By the way, is that right? I like the person who came along, came for their guided tour. They obviously haven't watched the television programme, but they came for a guided tour yesterday. What was that about? We've come along for a guided tour. Hello, this is my house. We're a bit busy as well, aren't we?
No, I know. Always a controversial subject.
Yes.
You put yourself on television.
Yeah.
You must be. Your house must always be open for guided tours. But actually, the majority do know that it's a family home.
Yeah.
And outside of events, that's what it is.
It's interesting because we're here now, and Arthur and Dorothy are through that door in the bedroom just at the top of the stairs. They know exactly where we are. And if we shout, they come running down if we wanted to. And yes, we can hear them.
Yeah. And there was once upon a time when we had a baby monitor, and I would check.
That was more stressful. But it was more stressful worrying if the baby monitor actually worked in the chateau.
And I get to press them for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Can't really have.
But they are. They do. The house has evolved, and the way we do things have evolved as well. Because Grandma and Granddad's place is a very different place for weddings this year, because we've got the extra children's bedroom we've put in that nobody's really seen. So there's an extra bedroom in there for the children to go and stay with Grandma and Granddad on the night of a wedding.
Absolutely, and I'm even thinking that they'll probably stay there for Friday and Saturday night, which will mean that I am much sort of free, and I can get up super early. And what on the Saturday?
I got up early on the Saturday. I was just thinking.
You always do. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So no, we are so excited, and we also do have an ice machine. In 2019, we got a really good ice machine, and I've got a freezer especially for ice. Now.
We'll never run out of this happened right from the very beginning.
We'll never run out of ice, but
Charlotte and Rich's.
I've been burnt. I'm hurt. I've been wounded, and now.
Hold on. Was the ice machine on last week?
It was.
Yes, and for the wedding next week, just in case we haven't got enough time in 10 days to make enough ice for everybody to have ice.
No, it still takes time to make the ice. It does. So.
Okay.
And
in a day we can make enough ice to keep 2 weddings going.
That is not true. You don't know that. That's like me saying that
Whoa.
When
we're upstairs in bed,
when we're
upstairs in bed, who gets the? Oh, can you go and empty the ice machine?
Yeah, but you do.
Yeah, because it's 3
Only
floors
because
down.
I get a little bit. I don't like the dark, and I don't like going.
So it's 3 floors down.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So we've got enough ice, but this is the
but
Angela's school of ordering stuff.
No,
the ice, we've got a
that's
chest
not true.
freezer full of ice. There's no more than a bucket per person, just to be fair. So we don't.
It's not true. We have been so close, literally on the last.
We've been down to our last 4 gastronomes.
I know you get up early and you go and put the beef on about 5 in the morning, but I am the last person at the bar. It's my sort of.
I'm there with you.
You are there chatting. You normally have
I don't actually look at the ice bucket at that stage. Cause
I am there serving and you are there chatting. You do early and I do late, and we both do most of the centre bit. Yeah.
Right. But are you saying that I don't know when we get near the edge?
No, you don't know about the ice. You don't know about the ice, and you cannot even pretend to know about the ice.
I go and count the
been...
little bits of ice. That's what I do. So Angela doesn't know. Whenever she goes to collect empty glasses, I go and count the ice just to. That's me hyperventilating, by the way. Have we got a chest freezer?
We will by Friday. We have so much ice. We're going to be able to put it in a bath and bathe in it. Now, the year after, though, what I was slightly scarred by was the plastic table. I mean, it was perfect for Richard and Charlotte, but it did inspire. Dick had gone away, and I mean, I wrote a little bit about it in the book, but it was very funny because we had been looking for. You had suggested a horse box for a bar because we did need some sort of facility, and I was looking at anything.
It was an agricultural vehicle when you can put a cow in. Actually, they've got quite a lot of those in France. You can actually buy what is the equivalent of like a van for sticking a cow in. And remember the pictures we saw? The cow comes in one side and goes out a side door. Yeah. Do you remember that? It was ridiculous pictures of French sort of small holding vans for a cow.
Yeah. It was they were fun, but when we looked at them, even though some of them were quite interesting,
they didn't smell a cow.
There was, and it may have smelled a cow. There was a lot of work, and then I found this thing.
Are you going to say there's not a lot of work and you're finding the solution?
No, but actually, it did have all the shelving and all the infrastructure. It has actually. I know this is you just being you, but it was absolutely perfect. And
you're right.
When I called this
Van de Van works.
The Van de Van works. I mean, honestly, Dick chanted so much. So I called up Jackie.
My job to chant her.
And we're having this chat, and she was telling me the story of the Van de Van. and that so many people had gone to see it, and then when they went to drive it, because it had a cart degree and also like a business license, and they're not easy to get.
We could have driven it around and held markets around France.
Exactly, we could have gone and
I was thinking about
sold
doing that. Never mind doing weddings, we could go and sell buckets and spades at the seaside.
Yeah. Well, there was a few buckets of spades, wasn't there? And we could have gone and sold meat or fruit and veg or absolutely anything that we chose to, because we had a license, and it was very, very good. And the lady Jackie, she was so charismatic on the phone, and Dick was in Cornwall, and I was left on my own with the children, and as she was talking, she was telling me that she was part
with
of
a computer and the ability to buy things on eBay.
Exactly, and Jackie told me that she was part of a vintage car collective, and that she had done from start to finish a Morgan up in her living room, and I loved her, and I just said, I think I want to buy this. I'm going to buy this. And by the end of the conversation, I was arranging.
You'd bought it.
I'd bought it.
And when did I get told about it? Hello, darling. I'm missing you. I bought a
van, and actually,
it's as long as an articulated lorry when it's actually sort of sitting there. It's not a van. It's a massive big shop with 4 wheels.
Oh my gosh! And Dick just chanted continuously. Now, Helena and Owen was the first wedding that enjoyed the van to van, and actually,
it's a real focal point. It's good.
It was great, because the dynamics of it worked really well, because it's outside the orangery now, and people sort of come out and they go and they sort of socialise, because it's got an awning, and it was just in terms of workload, our wedding, everything. Then there was it was cloakroom, and it was chairs and making things nicer for Rich and Charlotte's. Helena and Owen, the start of the next season, it was the van to van, and then again making everything nice. And so,
that's because we learnt from experience. We went through and we saw we needed something. We got to the next stage.
Exactly. But they were in comparison. They were bites of things. If you think about doing the van to van up to kind of going back and doing the whole chateau in the front of the orangery and the toilets and all the domes again, do you see what I'm saying? It's like massive, small, because it was the kitchen, the one after, and then it wasn't anything else. Yeah, and then
I get confused. I seem to remember doing an awful lot of different things. It's only when we sit down and we look at a diary can I work out what comes when, because it's not that it's been a blur, it's been a logical set of steps, one after the other, to get ready. And we went through all of that, and up to our heading off on tour. We'd got our life together, and it was well organised, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
And then the world decided that it just sort of changed overnight, didn't it?
You mean the 2020 tour?
Yeah, the 2020 tour, yeah. Well, all the way up to the 2020 tour, you'd got weddings sorted by the time we went away. Our team was there, the facilities were there, some fine tuning to do, but then we sort of left it. When we came back from this year's tour, it's amazing what our hindsight actually told us to do, because what's happening now more than anything else is organising to make things easier. Even down to you suggesting that Arthur and I put Tronormonds in glasses in the freezer. We're thinking steps ahead all the way through. That may not mean anything to you, but it's our little palate cleansers, and preparing it in a way that's easy to serve. And
because you don't have the same kitchen support. That's the thing. Was it a good idea?
It's a great idea, but the thing is, what we're doing is we're actually trying to make everything easy, from the wedding room to putting things organised.
I'm going out to buy a couple more Hoovers tomorrow, and that is because
she told me now. By the way, first I've heard. Oh, do we need more Hoovers?
No, we do. 100%. And the reason is, no.
How many Hoovers do we own?
Well, we've got. Oh, hello.
Oh, that's some.
Oh, the gravel's coming. Oh, hold on.
You see?
Do you want to just, Chloe, genuinely, do you want to go and?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we've got an unexpected delivery of.
Do you know what?
And we're going to.
People don't work on weekends. This is Jean Bertrand and
very
Bertrand, and they do work weekends because they're a family business in the village, and they know we want the gravel for next week.
They know we want
And
it.
so they're turning up this evening to allow us to actually get things
Right.
done in the last week.
Isn't
that lovely?
We are going to unexpectedly love and leave you. Glow, show the gravel. This is coming for the wedding. We love you.
Hey, have a lovely evening. My evening's now going to involve a rake and a small tractor.